Hello, my lovelies, and welcome back to Allotment of the Dead. So today, I'm going to be sorting out this spaghetti of tomatillo that I seem to have here. Um, every year, these do exactly the same as what they're doing now. In other words, they get really, really leggy very, very quickly. They grow so quickly, and if you literally miss that first sprouting, and don't get the lights on them, then they end up going a little bit out of control. So that's kind of what's happened here. So now I've got to try and pick my way through the seedlings here so I can put them on in some nice large pots to be able to get them to that next stage. Even though these are really, really leggy, let me see if I can just grab one of these out. Okay, so that one there, it's probably not one of the longest, but I don't know whether you can see all the way along its length. There's little tiny hairs, and they're quite long hairs. I'll try and get a closer picture of that so I can show you. I'll stick it up in the corner of the screen, and these will basically put down more roots. So I can potentially bury these tomatillos up to these first cotyledon leaves, and there won't be too much of an issue. The tomatillos, Solanum family, in fact, are quite resilient to being buried quite deep. They do utilise that extra length of that stem to actually put down more roots, and sometimes you can actually get a stronger plant from the back of it, even though these aren't looking particularly fantastic at the moment. But as I say, we'll get on and we'll sort out some of this spaghetti. Okay, I've got 4 types here, and so I've got the Tomatillo Plaza Giant, Tomatillo Purple, and Tomatillo Pineapple, and then I had to go out and buy some Tomatillo Queen of Malenko. Again, they've got really leggy, exactly the same as the other ones, no massive difference. These ones have had light, and the actual virility, I suppose, of these plants, that yearning to be able to grow, is what's led them to kind of get to this leggy kind of bolted status, even though the actual stems and things are really, really quite strong. So the next thing we need to do then is to transfer these plants over into some bigger pots. So our potting mix is, as pretty much I've used with the same as everything really. So it's a mixture of Jack's Magic, some vermiculite, and some bat guano. I'm trying that this year as a means to, I suppose, for everything really, and we'll see how they get on. I think I've left the other seal of this upstairs. Right, so a nice pot, and we've got, where did I put my stick? There it is. So the gardening chopstick, one of those things when you have a pair of chopsticks, one of them goes missing. Don't throw the other one away, they're so handy, especially for things like this, especially for being able to bury these sort of things quite deep. Right, so I did have a bit of I think I've lost a couple of ones, not when I was separating them, but I think the cats, bless them, have decided to have a bit of a roam up there and see what's going on. Right, so we'll try the Plaza Giants first, and we'll get, so roots of these, they probably won't be very extensive. Oh, there's a fair bit on them. There we go. So you can see that entire plant there, from the cotyledons all the way down, is absolutely covered in these little hairs. And then the root system itself, it's not a massive big bulky thing, but then it's not going to be in this particular compost. This is the Levington F1. So what I'm going to do is get those into the pots, and as I said, more fingers and thumbs today, and we'll bury them quite deep. Okay, I don't want to push down too much because I don't want to damage them too much, but just tease them gently into the pot, and then we'll cover them over. And then what you get is, because they've grown kind of horizontally, what you'll get that kind of tomatillo with a slant, but these will straighten up. I could have probably buried them a little bit deeper than that, but these are really, really long. So that should be okay. But what I'm going to do is I'll put probably 2 or 3 in this one pot, and they don't mind that. Solanum species, you can grow them quite close together sometimes, and again, I've not had any issues with them. The only issues you get is further down the line when they're trying to pollinate and interbreed, and the other problem you'll get with them is making sure you keep the disease out. The closer you plant something, the more chance they have of spreading disease between plants. But these, on the whole, are relatively free of things like blight and stuff like that, even though they are a Solanum species, and all Solanum species potentially can be subject to things like blight, including chilies and aubergines. It's less likely, but it's not unheard of. There has been some situations where they have done that. So again, you get these nice kind of proper leggy plants, little bit of root on the bottom. So again, we'll bury them deep. He said. See, the thing with leggy plants and potting them on is you've got to be so careful. You don't want to break that stem. You do want a bit of root on them at the end. But yeah, it is. You do get some nice, decent plants still at the end of it. Okay, let's just have a bit more soil on there. Just top them up a little bit more. Okay. Now I might top that with vermiculite as well. Helps to keep the moisture in. These are growing together at the moment, but they will find their way. They'll all start looking for the light and going upwards again, hopefully. So that is the Tomatillo Plaza Giant. So these are the ones that get about the size of this sort of size, Tomatillo wise. They look like Cape gooseberries that you can buy in the shops, Salis. So they're kind of got, they have a little cover over them. But in terms of flavour, it's almost like a little bit more acidic tomato in some respects. It's kind of a bit more citrusy, and they make great salsas. Salsa verde is a massive thing from Mexico, which you make with tomatillos. So absolutely really, really nice. You can use them for jams. You can use them for, you can actually just, as you would a tomato, you can actually can them the same way. And you can use them in a variety of different recipes. Something I grow every year. You do need more than one plant, though. That is the only other thing, because they do need another one next to them to pollinate. Now, last year I think there was only one plant of one of the varieties, but it got pollinated no problem. And I think that's because I had all the other tomatillo varieties next to it. So that cross-pollination still enabled me to get fruit. And they were still quite flavoursome, and there was no issues in terms of actually having quite a large harvest off them. So they did really well. And I grew all these outside last year. So I potted them into big 30-litre pots, and they did fantastic. Right, I will get on and pot on the rest of these. I've only got one pineapple tomatillo in here, so I might do another couple of seeds of that and just see if I can get a couple more plants. and we'll see how we get on. But this in its entirety, probably when I get it down the plot, will probably be planted just as that, because they do keep themselves upright with each other. Sometimes you have to stake them, but on the whole, a relatively simple plant to grow. You don't need a lot of interaction. The odd feed with tomato feed every so often, the same way as you would a tomato. But generally, they do really, really well. And they're a little bit more drought tolerant than things like tomatoes and aubergines. They could almost completely dry out before you water them. A little bit like tomatoes, I suppose, in some respects. Tomatoes are resilient to that effect as well, because you get plenty of roots on them usually. Right, I will carry on do this, and I think I've still got some more chili plants to pot on, like we've got here, and there's some aubergines here I need to plant on as pot on as well. So the diamond aubergine, they're in there as well. So yeah, still got plenty of things to pot on, and yeah, plenty to keep me busy this time of year. And I'm starting to think of when to plant my tomatoes as well now, because again, I want to get those in the ground, but I'm probably going to start those early March. I know some people are starting them now, but it's probably going to be early March for me. Right, we'll see you on the next video. So all the best, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.